My sister-in-law stole my husband, the CEO of a $4 billion company. At the final settlement, she mocked me saying, "Here is $50 for a cab to your parents' house. Goodbye." My lawyer left because the real CEO was me. My name is Lisa, and I'm 37 years old. I live with my husband, Larry, and we both work for the company that Larry's dad started. Though his dad has retired, he turned a small construction business into a huge company making $300 billion a year. He bought other construction companies and was known for being tough but skilled in business. Larry grew up privileged and gentle, and I often worry he's too soft for the tough business world despite being chosen to lead the company after his dad. Recently, I've started to doubt if Larry is right for the job or even for me as a husband. He's admitted that he doesn't think he's cut out to be CEO and might just be a figurehead. He doesn't seem interested in taking charge seriously. We've been married for 10 years and lately, I'm frustrated with his lack of ambition. Unlike Larry, I see myself as someone who makes decisions easily. My father-in-law, when he was active in the company, noticed this about me and gave me various tasks to handle. Before I married Larry, I worked at a bank where I learned to manage finances and always focused on the numbers. After getting married, I planned to stay home full-time, but my father-in-law asked me to join the construction company instead. Once I started working there, my father-in-law began inviting me to important board meetings and valued my opinions on how things should be managed. At first, some board members were unsure about having the founder's daughter-in-law involved in these meetings. However, as I consistently offered valuable insights, they began to respect my input. Larry, who was also on the board, rarely attended these meetings, which everyone, including my father-in-law, seemed to accept as normal. One day, when I returned home from a meeting, I found Larry casually watching TV. "Why didn't you attend today's meeting?" I asked, feeling frustrated. "You were an important member. You should take it seriously." He didn't seem guilty at all when he replied, "Even if I go, I don't really understand what they're talking about. Besides, the board prefers you, so it's not a problem. Right?" His response made me wonder if he was bothered by my role in the meetings. Despite Larry's comments, my father-in-law continued to mentor me in business operations, hinting that I might succeed him. I began to enjoy the challenges of management and worked hard to meet my father-in-law's expectations. After about 3 years, my father-in-law retired completely. When big decisions arose, the board members started consulting me, sidelining Larry. I had hoped this would motivate Larry to become more involved, but instead, he grew even more detached. He'd show up at the office in the morning but disappear by noon, spending the rest of the day at home. When we were together at home, he avoided discussing work altogether, showing little interest in the company's affairs. As my responsibilities in the company grew after my father-in-law retired, I found myself taking on tasks that were similar to those of the CEO. With our company being large and employing many people, I felt a strong commitment to increasing our sales and profits for the sake of our employees. Thanks to the hard work of our staff, our sales started to rise. I found the challenges of running the company increasingly fascinating and became deeply involved in my work. Meanwhile, my husband Larry seemed to be losing interest in his own job, showing up at the office less frequently. Our conversations at home dwindled, and our relationship started to feel strained. When I came home today, Larry told me he had run into my sister-in-law Nancy and had lunch with her. Nancy, who is 3 years older than me, had recently gone through a divorce due to her infidelity, which caused a big uproar when her angry ex confronted our parents at their home. Since I was busy with work, Larry, with his gentle and calming personality, went to my place to calm Nancy's ex down. He managed to convince him to leave peacefully. Later, Nancy told me, "Your husband is really something. He handled my ex's anger so well." She was impressed by Larry's ability to diffuse the situation with his calm demeanor. After her divorce, Nancy paid alimony and seemed to see Larry in a new light. Before this incident, she might have viewed him as a rich, pampered man who lacked decisiveness, but now she saw him as a respectable business owner. Being single again, Nancy might have started to see Larry as an attractive catch, especially since she has always been drawn to wealthy men. However, I was focused on my work and couldn't imagine such thoughts. Nancy didn't realize that Larry is just a figurehead at the company and doesn't actually manage it. Nancy's ex-husband was an impressive employee at a foreign company who once boasted to me at their wedding saying, "I'm a successful guy with a high salary, and I'm handsome too. You must be jealous." He was indeed charming, intelligent, and carried himself with style. I couldn't fathom why Nancy would cheat on such a remarkable husband. 5 months after Larry mentioned having lunch with Nancy, I came home to find him unusually serious. "Lisa, we need to talk," he said. It was the first time he'd ever said those words, and I sensed something serious was coming. Anxious, I waited for him to continue. "Actually, Nancy is pregnant with my child, and I want a divorce," he confessed. I was shocked by both the request for a divorce and the news of Nancy's pregnancy. Speechless, I listened as Larry added, "Nancy wants to come over on our next day off to discuss this, so I need your support." I was stunned. So you want to marry my sister-in-law? I asked incredulously. With a troubled expression, Larry replied, I don't necessarily want to marry her, but if she's having my baby, I feel like I have no choice. His typical indecisiveness frustrated me, and I responded, well, if she's carrying your child, we'll have to deal with it. Let's discuss this when she comes over. It seemed like Larry and I couldn't make decisions together, so I decided to talk directly with my sister-in-law to sort things out. Despite already deciding on divorce, I felt the need to consult my father-in-law about the company's situation. Being the daughter-in-law of the founder, I was deeply involved in running the business. A divorce would mean losing that connection. The next day, I visited my in-law's house and told my father-in-law everything Larry had said. My mother-in-law, delighted at the news of her son having a child, fell silent under my father-in-law's stern gaze. She cared more about her grandchild and the company's management. After pondering for a while, my father-in-law smiled and said, Lisa, I want you to continue managing the company as you have been. Larry can do as he pleases. I'll handle the rest. It was clear that my father-in-law valued the company's management over his son or grandchild. Even though he was retired as the founder, his influence was significant, holding most of the company's shares and ensuring no executive could oppose him. I was becoming more invested in my work and reluctant to step away from it.